POC page? Tazama. Tazama. You streaming it from the POC page? Alright. I didn't see the live stream. That's oh, no, I see it. I see it now. All praises. I see it now. Greetings to those that's online. It's good to be here. Shalom to everybody that's abroad. It's out there, you know, all scattered all in the four corners of the earth. Today's lesson is entitled Mysteries of Genesis chapter 4. Now, this is going to be a good lesson, man. You know, anybody that know me, I like to get into the scriptures, man. So much that you can learn from the scriptures. You never can finish learning this book, all right? This book is a book that you'll be studying forever, all right? As long as you're in the spirit. Whoever tells you that they know the Bible, they read all the Bible, they don't need to go deeper into the Bible, that they're alive. You know, everybody probably don't think they know the story with Cain and Abel. You know, who knows what that story is about? Whoever, raise your hand if you ever heard that story, Cain and Abel. I'm pretty sure everybody in here heard the story Cain and Abel, right? So you might think there's nothing that story can teach me. I know what it's about already. He hated his brother. You know what I'm saying? You know the typical. Yeah, he sinned. He didn't get an offering that the Most High wanted. You know, just the basics of Genesis 4, right? But when you actually dig deep into Genesis 4, you actually see things that's a little deeper. So let's get it real quick. Let's go to Genesis chapter 4. Genesis chapter 4. Let's start at verse 1. Let's get back started.
The book of Genesis chapter 4 verse 1. And Adam knew Eve his wife, and she conceived, and bare Cain, and said, I have gotten a man from the Most High. And she again bare his brother Abel, and Abel was a keeper of sheep, but Cain was a tiller of the ground.
So we had Cain and Abel, right? So everybody know this, you know, story. We got Cain, Abel, all right, had them. And Cain was a tiller of the ground, and Abel was a keeper of the sheep, right? Read.
And in the process of time, it came to pass that Cain brought of the fruit of the ground an offering unto the Most High. And Abel, he also brought of the firstlings of his flock and of the fat thereof.
Okay, so they both brought offering to the Most High. Okay, now let's see what happened. Read.
And the Most High had respect unto Abel and to his offering. But unto Cain and to his offering he had not respect. And Cain was very wroth, and his countenance fell.
So Cain was hot at this. So the Most High was like, you know, he knew already what Cain had to get out of his heart. Most High, what did he say? If you got a problem with your brother, leave your gift at the altar and go settle that with your brother. So the Most High knew that Cain wasn't all the way right. The Most High was like, look, I'm not dealing with your offering. I accept Abel's offering because his offering is worthy of me accepting it, right? And Cain was mad at this, right? Let's read on.
And the Most High said unto Cain, why art thou wroth? And why is thy countenance fallen?
So the Most High is like, why is your countenance fallen? What's wrong, Cain? What's the problem, right? Read.
If thou doest well, shalt thou not be accepted?
It's like, if you do well, that's a cold scripture right there. If you do well, shalt you not be accepted? Told Cain, you'll be accepted if you do well, right? Read.
And if thou doest not well, sin lieth at the door. And unto thee shall be his desire, and thou shalt rule over him.
All right, so it says, and sin lieth at the door. If you don't do well, sin is waiting for you. And its desire, notice how the Most High, you always got to read in context. He calls sin its desire, meaning it was like a living thing ready to devour you. It wants you. It desires you. You look up the word desire. That's a strong emotion, to strongly want something. So sin strongly wanted Cain, right? Read.
And Cain talked with Abel his brother. And it came to pass, when they were in the field, that Cain rose up against Abel his brother and slew him.
Now, Cain killed his brother. So we know that. We know that story. We know. But now, we're going to take a journey. Y'all ready for this? Take a little journey. I like my two brothers I got in. I see my brothers in here. We're going to take this spiritual journey. We're going to see what Genesis 4 is actually telling us. Because Genesis 4 is actually telling us more than what we actually think. This is the surface. There's a way that you got to read and get into the spirit to understand what it's telling you. So now, Let's go to a key player in this story, right? Let's go to 2nd Ezra real quick. So if you're just tuning in, shalom to you. All praises to you guys that's just tuning in. The lesson is called The Mysteries of Genesis chapter 4. Like I said earlier, we know what Genesis chapter 4 on the surface level is talking about. It's dealing with Cain and Abel. We're going to take a deeper journey to see what else we can learn from Genesis chapter 4. Now let's go to 2nd Ezra chapter 3, and we'll read verse 5. Right? 3 and 5. You got it.
The book of 2nd Ezra, chapter 3, verse 5. And gavest a body unto Adam without soul, which was the workmanship of thine hands.
Now read that one more time. Read it one more time.
And gavest a body unto Adam without soul.
Now, gave a body unto Adam. Now, the reason why we're touching on Adam is because it's something that we got to see here. Because who do Cain and Abel come from? They come from Adam. So we got to understand the nature of Cain and the nature of Adam. Because it was something that the Most High was showing us here with Adam and with Cain. Because this story is very important. It's going to show you something. And I'm not going to give it away yet. We're going to find out what it's talking about. So it says, he gaveth a body unto Adam without soul. So before there was a soul, before he breathed the breath of life into Adam, it was a body, right? Read on.
Which was the workmanship of thine hands, and didst breathe into him the breath of life, and he was made living before thee.
Now, he gave him the breath of life, and he became a living soul, all right, which was living, and power was breathed into him from the Most High, right? Let's read on, read verse 6.
And thou leddest him into paradise, which thy right hand had planted before ever the earth came forward.
And he led him into the garden, right? Read.
And unto him thou gavest commandment to love thy way, which he transgressed. And immediately thou appointest death in him and in his generations. I'm
going to see if y'all caught that. Read that one more time.
And unto him thou gavest commandment to love thy way.
Now, in the beginning, he said, I give you commandment to love thy way, right? Read.
Which he transgressed.
But he didn't listen. He transgressed. Read.
And immediately thou appointest death in him and in his generations.
Immediately thou appointed death in him and in his generation. So now you see why there had to be a Cain. Because the Most High, immediately when he transgressed, he said, now I have to put death inside of you. Because what does sin bring forth?
Death.
Death. He had two sons. One was that first covenant, that righteous seed, right? The other one was not. The other one had death, right? That was coming to him. Because now that Adam transgressed, this is beginning the battle between good and evil. The battle between righteousness and sin. The battle. So the first scenario of this battle is with Cain and Abel. We're going to learn some stuff, right? So now, immediately, he said that the wickedness came forth. Read.
Of whom came nations, tribes, people, and kindreds out of number.
Was that yeah. So, and in that, right, you have people coming from him, right? Now, his seed is important to understand because we all come from Adam, right? But within Adam's seed, you're going to figure out you have Abel, the Abel spirit, and you have the Cain spirit within his seed, within his loins, right? Let's get 1 Corinthians 15:22. Y'all following me? So we got Cain and Abel. We go back to their father. Their father, he produces a righteous seed and he produces a wicked seed in Cain and Abel, right? So now let's get 1 Corinthians real quick. And you could read 15 and 22.
The book of 1 Corinthians chapter 15, verse 22. For as in Adam all die, even so in Christ shall all be made alive.
Now, in Adam all die. Now, we know the physical death, but there's another death that we have to go through too. Another battle that we have to go to, which is a form of death too, which is the battle. Which that battle was called what? Sin. To fight between good and evil. This is why when you read Genesis chapter 4, the Most High gave Cain the choice. He said, look, if you don't do well, sin lies at your door. It desires you, right? Through Christ, we know we get life. But death comes through Adam. This is why we go through what we go through. This is where the temptations come from to do wrong. This is where the hatred comes from of our brother. All right? It comes through that wicked seed that was planted through Adam, right? So now let's go to 2nd Ezra chapter 4 and 4. 2nd Ezra chapter 4 and 4.
The book of 2nd Ezra, chapter 4, verse 4, whereof if thou canst declare me one, I will show thee also the way that thou desirest to see. And I shall show thee from whence the wicked heart cometh.
So this is dealing with Ezra's, right? Anybody ever read that story dealing with Ezra's? Read that. If you haven't read the Apocrypha dealing with the story of Ezra's, read that. Because that book is heavy. It touches on a lot of spiritual things. But one thing that Ezra wanted to know, he wanted to know, where did the wicked heart come from? Right? I.e., Cain being the first of that wicked seed. All right? Cain going to show you something. He was the first of that wicked seed. The first to show you how the heart is wicked. All right? So now he's asking, well, where did that wicked heart come from? All right? He's asking, you know, was that all of that? Skip down and go to verse 29.
Verse 29. If therefore that which is sown be not turned upside down, and if the place where the evil is sown pass not away, then cannot it come that is sown with good?
Now, it says, if therefore that which is sown be not turned upside down. Now, when it's talking about sown, what does it mean by that? When it says that's not sown or which is not planted, what is it talking about? No, not really the heart. It's talking about the seed of Adam. It's talking about Adam's seed line. So within Adam's loins, he's going to produce wickedness and he's going to produce righteousness within his seed. All right. So for instance, let's say you got an apple seed. You got one apple seed that you plant over here. It yields a lot of fruit. You got one apple seed that you plant over here. It doesn't yield that much fruit. It actually doesn't yield at all. It might wither and die away. They're both of the apple seed, but one produced and one didn't produce. What the parable is that when he sinned, he was able now, that wickedness was able to go through and pass through his loins now, which is going to produce wicked men and righteous men. Okay? So if a righteous seed, if you're keeping the laws, then you're a righteous seed. If you're not keeping the laws, then you're a wicked seed. It was planted within Adam from the very beginning, and you can see it through his sons, right? Read on. Yeah, read on where you was at. 29.
I finished 29. You want 30?
Yeah, read 30.
For the grain of evil seed hath been sown in the heart of Adam from the beginning.
You see that? The grain of evil seed has been sown in the heart of Adam from the beginning. And where do we see that? We see that through who? His sons. You can see that the wicked seed was planted, all right, as soon as he transgressed. So in other words, Cain had no choice but to be wicked because it was planted within Adam. Cain had no choice. You understand what I'm saying? Because the Most High said it was so already once he transgressed, right? Read.
And how much ungodliness hath it brought up unto this time?
And how much ungodliness has the wicked seed brought up?
A lot.
A lot. Y'all see this? This is a product of Adam. All of this is a product of Adam. Cain being the first example of it. How much wickedness? I mean, you got them turning women into men and men into women now. I mean, it's crazy. It's gotten out of hand, the wickedness. But all of it stems from the seed of Adam, right? Read on.
And how much shall it yet bring forth until the time of threshing come?
Now, and it's not even done. In other words, it's not even done. It says, how much more wickedness can we go until Yahweh Shai come back? Right? Read on.
Ponder now by thyself how great fruit of wickedness the grain of evil seed hath brought forth.
Right, read.
And when the ears shall be cut down, which are without number, how great a floor shall they fill?
So basically, in other words, it's an abundance of wicked seed, right? That comes through Adam. Read.
Then I answered and said, how? And when shall these things come to pass? Wherefore are our years few and evil?
So he's asking, when is this going to come to pass, right? Read on. Verse 34.
And he answered me, saying, do not thou hasten above the Most Highest? For thy haste is in vain to be above him. for thou hast much exceeded.
So he had to calm him down. Like, look, I'm showing you a lot already, but you still got to slow down because you can't go before the Father, right? Read on.
Did not the souls also of the righteous ask question of these things in their chambers, saying, how long shall I hope on this fashion? When cometh the fruit of the floor of our reward?
So the righteous, we know, will get a reward for being righteous. The righteous seed will get a reward. The wicked seed will receive punishment, right? Read verse 36. But the question is, when will this reward come, right? Read verse 36.
And unto these things Uriel the archangel gave them answer and said, even when the number of seeds is filled in you.
He said, there's a number in seed that has to be filled in you. So what is it talking about seed? We're going to get that, but it's talking about the sperm of man. It said the number of seed has to be fulfilled in you. So in other words, there's a set number of people that have to be righteous on the earth and wicked on the earth. Stemming back from Cain and Abel, which were the first two examples, stemming back from Adam being the progenitor of the righteous seed and the wicked seed. All right, y'all following me? Read on.
For he hath weighed the world in the balance. By measure hath he measured the times, and by number hath he numbered the times. And he doeth not move nor stir them until the said measure be fulfilled.
By measure have he measured the times, and by number have he numbered the times. And he does not move nor stir them until the until the said measure be fulfilled. Above that, it was saying until the number is fulfilled in you, which means what? There's a number of set righteous people that have to be upon the earth, and a number of set wicked people that have to be upon the earth, the seed. Because the earth is what? The earth is the soil. I did this a while back when I talked about the lesson dealing with the sisters. The earth is the soil, and we're the seed that's in the soil on the earth. We have to be fulfilled, meaning there's so many people that have to come and fulfill that number of righteousness, right? That's why the Most High said in Ezekiel, don't slay until the number fulfilled. You know, the 144,000, all of that has to be fulfilled. All right. So now, we know that. With that being said, let's get, now I want to read this definition real quick. So, sperm, all right. It says the male reproductive cell, and it's derived from the Greek word sperma, meaning seed. So sperm is the seed. So when it's talking about the seed of man, it's talking about the sperm that's within us. All right. So every time you hear that the wicked was sold, things like that, it's an analogy dealing with fruit seeds, but it's dealing with the seed of man. Okay. And there's also something I don't want to. Now let's get Ecclesiasticus 30:4. Let's get that. All right, y'all following me? All right, 30 and 4.
The book of Ecclesiasticus, chapter 30, verse 4. Though his father die, yet he is as though he were not dead.
Right, so when your father died, it says, even though he might pass, it's like he wasn't dead, right? Why? Read.
For he hath left one behind him that is like himself.
It's because he left one that is behind him that is like himself. So now in Adam's situation, who did he leave that was like himself?
Abel.
Abel and who else? Not just Abel.
Cain.
Cain too. Cain was that wicked him. Cain was the one that ate. Cain was the wicked seed of Adam. They both was reflections of Adam. Not just the righteous, the wicked too. So he left two sons like himself. One chose the dark path, one chose the good path. But they each come from their father. Now, this is an interesting fact dealing with memories, right? It was a news article, BBC News, all right? You can look up BBC News, and when you look it up, type in BBC News memories, and it should memories passed between generations. So it's an article that I had looked up, and it was funny because it was a study that they did that shows, but they did it with mice, all right? It shows that one generation of mice, right? So say you got one generation of mice, if you give them a smell and they don't like that smell, they'll stay away from that smell. The next generation that comes from those set group of mice, they will automatically not like that smell. Okay? And then they even did research on even traits dealing with father and son and mother and daughter and things like that, there's traits that are passed down from your parents that you might not understand comes from them. Things that you don't like, things that you, how you act. Have you ever seen like a situation where you had a mother and she, you know, was loud, obnoxious, and ghetto, and then you look at her daughter resembles that same pattern. Or then if you've seen a son, you know, his dad, that's why we go through the same generational curse. Because it's like my dad was in jail, and I grew up without my dad now, and he was in a gang, and I grow up as a man, and I'm in a gang, and I go to jail, and my son takes on that same pattern. It's a pattern because we inherit the memories and the genes and the traits of our parents. Now, you might ask yourself, like in Ezekiel chapter 3, I believe, when it talks about, I believe it's chapter 3, when it talks about if you have a wicked father but a righteous son, the son won't inherit the wickedness of his father. Now, you might ask, well, how is it that a righteous son can come from a wicked father? Because it goes back to Adam. Because we all come from the seed of Adam. So if Adam, my father was wicked, but I'm righteous. Why? Because within that seed, I happen to fall from the righteous line of Adam. My father happened to fall from the wicked seed of Adam. Y'all following me? Y'all see that? So now, this is what it means. It says, you know, when you look at the story of Cain and Abel, it's giving you an example of how Adam left two manners of people like himself. One wicked, one righteous. And so on and so forth. They begin to bring forth seed that eventually carried on and came down to Israel being chosen as being the only ones that could be righteous. But even within Israel, even the seed is not all called. Because there's even wicked within Israel. And that all goes back to Adam's wicked seed. All right, everybody following me? So now, let's go to Matthew chapter 13, verse 24.
Could I bring out a quick, not a point, but just a precept to hammer home what you said?
Yeah, go ahead.
This is the book of Ezekiel, chapter 16.
You want me to read it?
Yeah, verses 44. I'm not going to expound on this one.
I'll read it for you. Go ahead. Ezekiel chapter 16, verse 44. Behold, everyone that uses Proverbs shall use this proverb against thee, saying, as is the mother, so is her daughter.
Right, so just hammering home the point, like he said, fruits of righteousness, fruits of wickedness. We all have righteousness and wickedness, you know, that lies deep down inside us. You know, we're a new creature now, but the old things are passed away. But you know, just to hammer home what he was saying, you know, the daughter is like the mother in most cases, and the son is like the father in most cases as well. So.
We all come from one root. Now, like I said, you can either be a good branch of that root, or you could be a bad branch of that root. Now, the question would be, where do we fall in? Excuse me, and this is why the commandments are the filter, to show where you fall in that. We want to be careful, because even though we might be keeping commandments now, you still are fall victim to temptation. So you got to be careful, because we still have that. Because was not Adam righteous? But what happened? He fell victim to temptation because it's flesh, right? So now we get those traits from our forefather Adam. And we can see that. We have the choices to do right or wrong. But if we go towards the temptation aspect or surround ourselves with our temptation, it will cause us to fall because of that wickedness that is still sown within our hearts. All right? So now let's go to Matthew chapter 13, verse 24. And I'm going to show y'all something. Yeah, read that.
The book of Matthew, chapter 13, verse 24. Another parable put he forth unto them, saying, the kingdom of heaven is likened unto a man which sowed good seed in his field.
So now, all right, now we probably read this all the time, but it says the kingdom of heaven is like a man that sows good seed in his field, right? What did the Most High sow in his field in the beginning? Good seed. Sow good seed, but read on.
But while men slept, his enemy came and sowed tares among the wheat and went his way. But when the blade was sprung up and brought forth fruit, then appeared the tares also.
Right. So now you see it says now, even though the seed was sown in righteousness, an enemy came in and he sowed some wicked seed. And when they both was grown up, the fruit grew up, but the tares grew with them. And he said the servant was ready to chop them down, right? But he said what? Read on.
So the servants of the householder came and said unto him, Sir, didst not thou sow good seed in thy field? From which then hath it tares? He said unto them, An enemy hath done this. The servant said unto him, Wilt thou then that we go and gather them up?
So he says, the enemy has done this, right? When did this happen? This happened during the time of Adam. The enemy sowed wicked tares amongst the seed of Adam, which is now, what do we have to do? What did we read in the Apocrypha? It says by measure, and we have to what? Grow together, right? It says we have to grow until the number is fulfilled in you. So that means that we got to be fulfilled, right? Within ourselves, kids be produced. As the righteous and the wicked grow, we have to grow together, right? So as we grow together, what happens? If he was just to uproot Adam's all his seed, we all would have perished. And that's what he's going to say. Read on.
But he said, Nay, lest while ye gather up the tares, ye root up also the wheat with them. Let both grow together until the harvest.
You see that? So now we're forced to do what? Grow together. We got to grow. Don't we grow with the wicked? We have to live with the wicked, right? Read on.
And in the time of harvest, I will say to the reapers, Gather ye together first the tares, and bind them in bundles to burn them. But gather the wheat into my barn.
So now, we want to make sure that we remain that wheat. Because between Adam and Cain, who was the wheat and who was the tare? Huh? Abel was the wheat. Who was the tare? Okay. Cain was the tare. See that? So now, we're forced to live that. And did Cain and Abel grow up together? Grew up together, didn't they? and what happened? One had to receive a judgment. We're going to get that judgment in a minute. But the first point that I want to hit home to you guys is that the wicked seed, and where the wicked seed come from. It comes from Adam. It shows through Abel and Cain, and then it comes down past this to us. Because we come, those are our forefathers. We come from them. We know that Abel ended up dying, but the Most High gave Adam another son, which was righteous. All right, which was Seth. And then he had his kids, so on and so forth. But now, so let's go from there and let's read James chapter 1, verse 12. And in this happening, we're subject to this now. James chapter 1, verse 12. This is why you can have two brothers, right? Who got siblings in here? Everybody got siblings? How many of them keeping the law? None of them, huh? Wow. This is why you can have brothers and sisters brought up in the same house, and they just cannot keep the law because they fall under the wicked tares, the wicked seed of Adam. This is why it's like, dang, my father just be like, hey, brother, you know, how you doing? Be like, good, man. You keeping the law? Yeah. Your dad keeping the law? Man, my dad wicked as hell. It's because your forefather, it goes all the way back from Adam. So I'd be like, damn, I never understood that. How the hell am I righteous and my pops are just wicked? Or vice versa. How is you righteous as the father and your son is just wicked? Or your daughter, or, you know, vice versa, interchangeable. It's because even though it's not about, you know, it's about our upbringings, but at the end of the day, it's the seed. So brothers, be very happy that you are in these seats. Because if you are in these seats, you fell amongst the righteous seed. All praises to the Most High. It's like drafting. It ain't just, you know, don't take this for granted. You know, how many sperm cells do men produce? Thousands and thousands and thousands. And out of all of them, you happen to be the righteous few. See what I'm saying? You was righteous from the inception of birth. You was righteous. That's why the Most High said, I knew you from the foundations of the world. Because you was righteous in the nutsack. You understand what I'm saying? That's why it talks about the wheat and the tares. You was wheat. Because if you was wheat, you always was wheat. And if you was a tare, you always was a tare. You understand what I'm saying? Even if you think you're doing a little righteousness, but you just wicked as hell, because you know you got Hebrews out there that ain't doing right either. They tares. Right? That's a sign, right? That if you can keep these laws, you weak. And that's what we want to be. But let's read James 1 and 12.
The book of James, chapter 1, verse 12. Blessed is the man that endureth temptation, for when he is tried, he shall receive the crown of life.
So blessed is the man that endures temptation. Why? Because is the righteous not subject to temptation? Yeah. They are subject to temptation. Right? We got to go through it. But it says we have to endure it. Because if you can endure it, because unfortunately our wicked forefather Adam has brought temptation before us. So we still have to endure it, right, Reed?
Which the Most High hath promised to them that love him. Let no man say when he is tempted, I am tempted of the Most High.
Now, this is important to understand, because even going back to Cain and Abel, what happened? What did Cain and Abel show you? Cain was tempted. He was tried. He had the choice to follow the Most High. The Most High gave him the choice, And now when the Most High gave him that choice, what did he end up choosing? He ended up choosing the other way. So that's why it says when he is tried, that's when you're approving of the Most High God, meaning that we have to go through things. We have to be tried to show if we are of the Father. All right? And read verse 13 again.
Let no man say when he is tempted, I am tempted of the Most High. For the Most High cannot be tempted with evil, neither tempteth he any man.
Now, what does that mean? Okay? What the Most High is saying is every man has their own temptation. The Most High doesn't give you your temptation. It's something that your flesh is attracted to, which you get that inherent emotion. I hope they're getting what I'm saying. Unless you, and that's what you get from your forefather Adam. Everybody has a different temptation. His temptation might be pornography. My temptation might be drugs. Somebody else's temptation might be sleeping with other men's wives. Everybody's temptation is different. And we are drawn away from the own lust that is sown within our hearts. And it's up to us to defeat it, right? Read on.
But every man is tempted when he is drawn away of his own lust and enticed. Then when lust hath conceived, it bringeth forth sin. And sin, when it is finished, bringeth forth death.
You see that? Now when the lust is conceived, it bringeth forth sin. And sin, when it is finished, bringeth forth death. So what happened to Cain? This happened. This scripture happened to him. All right, he was tempted because he hated his brother already. You don't think it was his first time hating his brother? To kill your brother? You been hating your brother. Y'all was kids and you hated him. All right? So Cain Ben had hatred for his brother. He just had the last straw. He killed him at that point in time. So the temptation was always there, but it was birthed within him, and then what happened? It brought sin, and then it brought forth death. Read on.
Do not err, my beloved brethren.
Okay, that's it right there. So now let's go back to Genesis 4 and let's read verse 9. The spirit of Cain, and this is why you got to understand something. I want to challenge y'all with something. Everybody died except, as far as with the righteous seed, right? Everybody that was wicked died, right? So did anybody from Cain's lineage survive? No. Because the only people that was in the ark was who? Noah. And when you go back to Noah, Noah comes from the righteous seed, Seth, all right? Which comes from Adam. So everybody from Seth's generation lived. Like as far as, not everybody, but as far as going down, only everybody that lived in the boat came from Seth's generation. So everybody that's a part of Cain's seed was wiped out. But the spirit of Cain is still here. The spirit of Cain is still here. Why? Because it came from Adam. So now we're going to get a particular individual, and I'm going to show you how this particular individual manifests Cain's spirit as a nation. You're going to see, and I'm going to show you, and it's going to be it's going to be deep, man. That's why I said, man, when you read the scriptures, it's crazy how much you can learn, right? You'll never finish reading and understanding of the word, right? So now let's get into it. Let's go back to Genesis chapter 4 and let's read verse 9. Let's watch this.
The book of Genesis chapter 4 verse 9. And the Most High said unto Cain, Where is Abel thy brother? And he said, I know not. Am I my brother's keeper?
So he lied. He was like, man, am I my brother's keeper? I don't know where he is. Right? Read on.
And he said, What hast thou done? The voice of thy brother's blood crieth unto me from the ground.
Read.
And now art thou cursed from the earth, which hath opened her mouth to receive thy brother's blood from thy hand.
So he said, now you're going to be cursed from the earth, right? Read.
When thou tillest the ground, it shall not henceforth yield unto thee her strength. A fugitive and a vagabond shalt thou be in the earth.
Read on.
And Cain said unto the Most High, my punishment is greater than I can bear.
So it says the earth is not going to be kind to you, meaning you ain't going to have nowhere that you can cultivate and call your own. Then he says you're going to be a fugitive and a vagabond in the earth. Right? Meaning you're going to constantly, a fugitive is when you want to run. Vagabond meaning you moving from place to place. You ain't going to have a set place, right? Read on.
And Cain said unto the Most High, my punishment is greater than I can bear. Behold, thou hast driven me out this day from the face of the earth, and from thy face shall I be hid. And I shall be a fugitive and a vagabond in the earth. And it shall come to pass that everyone that findeth me shall slay me.
So he was like, man, everybody's going to slay me that finds me. I'm going to be a fugitive and a vagabond in the earth. Everybody's going to want to kill me when they see me, right? Read verse 15.
And the Most High said unto him, therefore, whosoever slayeth Cain, vengeance shall be taken on him sevenfold. And the Most High set a mark upon Cain, lest any finding him should kill him.
Now, you probably was like, man, that's a good thing. Cain don't got to die. Well, actually, it was a bad thing because the Most High was like, no, I want you to live out your judgment. You're never going to have peace in the land. You're always going to be moving from place to place. You're never going to be able to yield crops, and you're going to be cursed. Coming from a situation where they had the Most High right then and there with them at that time, right? Something that we don't know nothing about. Can you imagine being separated in that type of fashion from the Father and forced to live that judgment out? So it was a mark that was put upon Cain. He was a marked man forever. It's kind of like, you ever seen that movie Dracula? Y'all know that movie Dracula, when he finally got eternal life, right? If you watch the new Dracula, right? And you know, the origins of Dracula, where Dracula came from. So when he went up to the cave to the first Dracula or vampire, you know, he was like, look, man, I need you to go ahead and make me the vampire or whatever. He said, all right, cool. He said, are you sure you want this? He said, because if you do take this, and the key was this: if you take this oath on and you suck blood before the day is over, you're going to be cursed to live forever and have this thirst. So he's like, I'll take it, you know. So in the movie, he went, you know, to kill his enemies and stuff like that. He almost made it to the end, but he got weak and he ended up feeding. When he fed, now he's cursed to walk upon the earth forever and not die. The first Dracula or vampire told him that would be a curse to him because eventually he would want to die, but he wouldn't be able to. He'll be a vagabond on the earth going to and fro. And then it shows you at the end of the movie, it was like, it brought it up to now, and he was still here, and you could just see him, you know, like it was just a battle he had to fight for the rest of his life. It's actually a crazy type of movie, but the point and the concept of that is that he was forced to live out his judgment of being a bloodthirsty individual. And it was a curse, right? So it's the same type of thing with Cain, right? And the mark was set upon him, and he had to go to and fro. Not saying that Cain didn't eventually die. That's not what I'm saying. I'm just saying that he had to go to and fro, never have rest within the earth, right? So now, let's get Jude chapter 1, verse 11. So let's break that down. So Cain had a mark upon him, right? He said he would have a mark upon him. He'll be a vagabond in the earth. When you got that, you can read it.
The book of Jude, verse 11. Woe unto them, for they have gone in the way of Cain.
Woe unto them, for they have gone in the way of who?
Of Cain.
Of Cain. It says, woe unto them, for they have gone in the way of Cain, right? Read.
And ran greedily after the error of Balaam for reward, and perished in the gainsaying of Kor.
So what is this scripture telling you? This scripture is telling you that the spirit of Cain is still alive. They went in the way of Cain, which is telling you the spirit of Cain is still here. So even though Cain's fleshly descendant, everybody's wiped out with the flood, but the spirit is still here. The spirit of Cain is still here, alive and well. And it worketh in everybody that does wickedness. But it's one individual that it worketh deeply in, right? And we're going to be able to see that. Now let's go to Ezekiel chapter 9. Show y'all. That spirit of Cain is still here, y'all. Alive and well. It's alive and kicking. Ezekiel chapter 9, let's read verse 3. Watch this.
The book of Ezekiel chapter 9, verse 3. And the glory of the Most High of Israel was gone up from the cherub, whereupon he was, to the threshold of the house. And he called to the man clothed with linen, which had the writer's inkhorn by his side.
Right.
And the Most High said unto him, Go through the midst of the city, through the midst of Jerusalem, and set a mark upon the foreheads of the men that sigh and that cry for all the abominations that be done in the midst thereof. And to the others he said in mine hearing, Go ye after him through the city, and smite. Let not your eyes spare, neither have ye pity.
Verse 6.
Slay utterly old and young, both maids and little children and women, but come not near any man upon whom is the mark. And began at my sanctuary. Then they began at the ancient men which were before the house.
All right, so the Most High has a spiritual mark. We know that spiritual mark being the commandments of the Most High God. That's why the Most High God says, write it upon the frontlets and your head and your eyes and on your hand, right? Because what do you do with your hand? You do your works. What is in in between your eyes? Your brain. So the Most High is marking us with his law, his commandments. But then you got that other mark, right? When we get into the mark of the beast and 666 and things like that, the number of man, right? Which is when you break that down, the 666, because what does the number 7 represent? Completion. 666 represents what? Incompletion, because it's not complete. So whenever you fall short of the mark, what are you? You're wicked. So when you deal with the mark like of the beast and things of that nature, what is it? It's a mark of wickedness, but where does that mark stem from? Because we just read what? They have taken on the ways of who?
Cain.
Of Cain. Of Cain. So now, let's get this. Read Hebrews chapter 12, verse 15. I'll show y'all something.
12 and 15?
Yep. Hebrews 12 and 15.
The book of Hebrews chapter 12, verse 15. Looking diligently, lest any man fail of the grace of the Most High, lest any root of bitterness springing up trouble you, and thereby many be defiled.
You see that? Looking diligently, lest any man fall of the grace of the Most High, lest any root of bitterness spring up, trouble you. Any root of bitterness, right? Spring up and trouble you, meaning you're having trouble in your flesh, and thereby may be defiled. Meaning within your heart, the roots of wickedness, keep that under right. You don't want that to spring up. Why? Because guess what? You'll be defiled, right? But let's read.
Lest there be any fornicator or profane person as Esau.
Now, as Esau. Now, what you'll begin to realize, is there anybody that's as profane as Esau? Not at all.
No.
No. Now, the question is this. Well, I'm not going to say it yet. Let's finish the scripture.
Who for one morsel of meat sold his birthright.
Read verse 17.
For ye know how that afterward, when he would have inherited the blessing, he was rejected. For he found no place of repentance, though he sought it carefully with tears.
You see that? So he was rejected and he became profane. So I'm going to read the definition of profane. It says, to treat a holy place or object with great disrespect. To treat something sacred with abuse. All right? Yeah, so that's it. So basically, to treat anything that's holy with disrespect. All right? Meaning that he was profane. Meaning he was evil and he was wicked. Now, we're going to do something. Let's go to 2nd Ezra 6 and 9. Because when you look at the story with Cain and Abel, there's a lot of similarities there with Esau and Jacob. Did Esau hate his brother? Did Esau kill his brother? Did Cain hate his brother? Did Cain kill his brother? It's a lot of similarities. Watch this. Let's read 2nd Ezra 6 and 9.
The book of 2nd Ezra, chapter 6, verse 9. For Esau is the end of the world.
Esau is the what?
The end of the world.
Esau is the end of the world. Read.
And Jacob is the beginning of it that followeth.
So, was that all of that?
Okay.
So it says Esau is the end of the world, and Jacob is the beginning of the world that followeth. Okay. So we know that Esau in this current state, what is he doing? He's controlling the world. And how is it? How is it? Wicked, totally wicked. Right? Now, let's get Job chapter 9, verse 24.
Excellent precept.
Let me show y'all something. We're going to show y'all the parallels. We're going to use Esau because he's one of the most wicked amongst all that was created. Let's read Job 9 and 24.
The book of Job, chapter 9, verse 24. The earth is given into the hand of the wicked.
The earth is given into the hand of the wicked. Read.
He covereth the faces of the judges thereof. If not, where and who is he?
It says the earth is given into the hands of the wicked. Who controls the earth right now?
Esau.
Esau. There's no way around it. The white man controls the earth today. Now, what did we read in Jude? The spirit of who?
Cain.
The spirit of Cain. Now, we already see the similarities, but let's get it in the scriptures now. Watch this. That spirit of Cain is within Esau. And he is acting it out right now. So when you read the story in Genesis chapter 4, that story is parallel. Excuse me. That story is parallel with the story of Jacob and Esau. All right. Cain and Abel's story is parallel with Jacob and Esau. Let's read Genesis 25 and 27. Genesis 25 and 27. This is why when people be like, oh, the white man can be saved. Oh, he can't be because he has that spirit of Cain. See, I was hoping that y'all understood what I was saying. Because in the beginning, when we went through the seed and how Adam had produced two types of seeds, you can't change what the seed is supposed to be. Esau is that wicked seed. He's only going to be produce wickedness. Just like Cain was that wicked seed. He only can produce wickedness. And you can't make, Most High said, can you make straight what he made crooked? No. So when you understand Genesis 4, you'll understand Esau's fate is the same as Cain's fate. No getting around it. And whoever else follows in that footsteps of wickedness. Right? So let's read that. Genesis 25 and 27.
The book of Genesis, chapter 25, verse 27. And the boys grew, and Esau was a cunning hunter, a man of the field, and Jacob was a plain man dwelling in tents.
All right, so he was a man of the field, right? Notice this. Who was the man of the field? Esau was a man of the field, right? Let's read verse 29. Watch this.
Verse 29. And Jacob sowed pottage, and Esau came from the field, and he was faint.
So Esau was a man of the field. Y'all following me? Okay. Let's go to Genesis 4 and 2. Who else was a man of the field? Cain.
Tiller. God.
Let's read it. 4 and 2.
The book of Genesis, chapter 4, verse 2. And she again bare his brother Abel. And Abel was a keeper of sheep, but Cain was a tiller of the ground.
So Cain was a tiller of the ground, meaning what? He was a man of the field.
God.
Cain was a what? He was a wild man. He was a man of the field as well. So what did that mean? All of our forefathers are who? Shepherds. It's like that, right? Passed down. We took on the occupation of our forefathers. Who was a shepherd? Abel. Abel. Y'all see what I'm saying? The spirit is still here. The spirit of that wicked one is still here. Never went anywhere. The parallels is crazy because when you start to look at it, you say, damn, Esau is Cain.
God.
The story of Cain and Abel was the story of Jacob and Esau. Who was accepted? Who wasn't accepted? Let's get it. I don't want to jump ahead. I looked up the definition of field. It says an area of open land, especially one planted with crops or pastures, typically bounded by hedges or fences. So a field is an open plain area dealing with crops, pastures, and things of that nature. So Esau was out there. He was in them fields. Long day. He was out there, all in the fields, in the pastures, and the crops. He knew how to tilt the ground. He knew how to tilt the ground. He was a man of the field. You understand what I'm saying? Now watch this. Let's go to, let's read Genesis 4 and 8 real quick.
The book of Genesis chapter 4 verse 8. And Cain talked with Abel his brother. And it came to pass, when they were in the field, that Cain rose up against Abel his brother and slew him.
Now he slew him, right? Now let's read Genesis 27 and 41.
God, that was already in my spirit.
See that? Yeah. You ready, huh?
Excellent.
Genesis 27, 41. Let's read that.
The book of Genesis chapter 27 verse 41. And Esau hated Jacob.
Esau did what?
Hated Jacob.
He hated Jacob. Who else hated their brother?
Cain.
Hated his brother. Esau hated his brother too. There was men of the field. They had hatred for their brother. It's the same spirit. Genesis chapter 4 is Esau and Jacob. You understand? Let's keep reading.
Because of the blessing wherewith his father blessed him.
Now, why did he hate him?
Because of that birth.
And why did Cain hate Abel? Because of the blessing. It's the same story. When you read, how many of y'all knew when you read Genesis 4, you reading about Jacob and Esau? Didn't even know, huh? Now you know. It's parallel. That's why I told you, man, the scriptures, you can get deep into the word, man. I'm telling you. It shows you more than what you might realize. The Most High was foreshadowing something. And not only that, what the scriptures say, you know, even the scriptures can attest to this. You know what? There's a saying, history repeats itself. It's the same thing. There's nothing new under the sun. So the story of Esau and Jacob, is that new? No. Because it goes all the way back to Genesis 4. It happened already. The same thing. Men in the field. Shepherds. Right? But hatred for their brother. Because of the blessings. Same thing, but we're not even done yet. Was that all?
No, that's not it.
Keep reading.
And Esau said in his heart, the days of mourning for my father are at hand. Then will I slay my brother Jacob.
Then will I slay my brother Jacob. Just like who? His forefather Cain. Yeah, it's safe to say his forefather because it's the same spirit. Forefather Cain. Let's get more. I'm going to show y'all. The wicked, I mean, it's amazing what Genesis 4 show you. Not only does it show you the attributes of the righteous and the wicked seed, how it can come from one soil but produce wicked and produce righteousness. One could be wicked, one could be righteous. From one source. This man can have two sons. So Genesis chapter 4 is showing you that scenario. Like, look, this man is righteous, but he got two sons, one wicked and one righteous. Because within his seed is so, he don't have no power over it. Because in his seed is so wickedness and righteousness. Within everybody's loins sitting right here is wickedness and righteousness. We just hope to God that our kids become righteous. But you're not going to be able to find out until what? Till they grow together. See that? I got daughters. All four of them is, you know, right now beautiful. But I won't know until they grow up. I won't know. It could be a pair wicked, a pair. I got five. it could be two righteous, three wicked. It could be three wicked, you know, vice versa. You know, I don't know yet because they have. That's the irony of what we have to go through from Adam. We don't know which of our kids is going to grow up righteous. You understand? And it's so not only is Genesis 4 showing you that, but it's in the fight that we got to go through with our seed. But it's also showing you the parallel between Esau and Jacob. All in that one chapter, we read all the time in Bible class, in Bible story, in Christian church, Sunday school. It's showing us more than what we actually was looking at. All right? So now let's read, what did I say? We already read Genesis 27:41. Let's read Obadiah 1 and 10. So, said he wanted to hate. So Genesis 4 and 8 says he hated his brother, right? Cain hated his brother. Genesis 27 and 41 says Esau hated his brother, and Obadiah 1 and 10. Let's read that. a small book.
Obadiah.
All right, take your time, Mark.
That book, so that's only one chapter.
Yep.
Okay.
Time. So everybody following? You got it?
Come.
Okay, go ahead.
The book of Obadiah,
1 and 10. I mean, well, Obadiah
verse 10.
Yeah.
For thy violence against thy brother Jacob, shame shall cover thee.
Now, doesn't that sound familiar? The Most High said to Cain. Since you have your, I hear what happened. Let's go there. Let's go there. Go there. Let's go back to Genesis.
Come.
Chapter 4. All right.
What you want, 8?
And let's read, read verse. You can read verse 11.
Okay. The book of Genesis, chapter 4, verse 11. And now art thou cursed from the earth, which hath opened her mouth to receive thy brother's blood from thy hand.
So he says he's cursed from the earth, meaning it was a cursing put on him, right? Now let's go back to Obadiah 10.
Obadiah, verse 10. For thy violence against thy brother Jacob, shame shall cover thee, and thou shalt be cut off forever.
So the similar how Cain was cut off, right? He had to be a vagabond and a fugitive in the earth. Got cursed from the ground and things of that nature, right? He says now, shame is going to cover him as well. Esau too. And let's get Genesis 4:14.
The book of Genesis, chapter 4, verse 14. Behold, thou hast driven me out this day from the face of the earth, and from thy face shall I be hid. And I shall be a fugitive and a vagabond in the earth. And it shall come to pass that everyone that findeth me shall slay me.
So it says he will be a fugitive and a vagabond in the earth. Now, when you look up the definition of fugitive, right, it says a person who has escaped from a place or is in hiding, especially to avoid arrest or persecution. When you look up the word vagabond, a person who wanders from place to place without a home or a job, having no settled home, right? So now, fugitive, who does that sound like? A person who has escaped from a place or is in hiding, especially to avoid arrest or persecution. Who's a fugitive today?
Esau.
Esau. He a fugitive. He hiding. He the Jews. He the Egyptians. He the Greeks. He everybody but Esau.
Right.
Y'all notice that? The white man is everybody but Esau. He hide. He a fugitive. He a vagabond.
European.
Stole Europe. Stole America. Stole parts of Africa. Huh? All of that. Right? Let's get that. Micah 2 and 2. He a vagabond and a fugitive like Cain was. Let's read that. Micah chapter 2, verse 2. Crazy, right? Similar story. The same story. You got it, you can read it.
The book of Micah, chapter 2, verse 2. And they covet fields and take them by violence.
It says, and they covet fields. Why is he coveting a field and taking it by violence? Because he don't have none. He want everybody else's. He going place to place. Is there not a place where Esau didn't go? He raped and robbed and stole from the Chinese. He went and raped and robbed and stole from the Africans. And he raped and robbed and stole from us. He raped and robbed and stole from the original Greeks. Hell, he even did that now. I created this. I created rock and roll. I did this. I did that. He's a vagabond. A fugitive. He don't have no set place. Is there any such thing as white culture?
Nope.
When you go back to Mount Seir. But he don't claim that. Because he a fugitive. He hiding. He hiding his true nationality. Just like who? Cain. Same way. Right? Covet fields. Let's go to Psalms 55 and 21. So the same thing that took place with Cain, right? That mark, the spiritual mark of Cain, is upon those that do wickedly, and your good old boy Esau fits the description to the T of wickedness. Because what is Cain? Cain is the embodiment of wickedness. Anytime you mention Cain, he's wicked. So who follows in the footsteps? Esau does. And whoever loves what Esau does has the spirit of Cain on him. So whenever you be like, damn, I just cannot get, I be telling my mom, man, I'm trying to get her to see this truth. Because she got the spirit, she got the mark of Cain on her. She can't get it. Mama can't get it. It's not for her. She can't. See that? Let's read that. Psalms 55 and 21.
The book of Psalms, chapter 55, verse 21. The words of his mouth were smoother than butter, but war was in his heart. His words were softer than oil, yet were they drawn swords.
See that? War is in his heart.
Okay.
War is in his heart. Wickedness. He wants to slay his brother. He wants to kill. He wants to take. He wants to destroy. That's what he wants to do. And notice how Cain and Esau, notice when they both did their transgression, what did Cain do? This is too hard. I'm just, And what did Esau do? Please, Father, bless me. I was robbed. You wasn't robbed. You sold it. You sold the birthright. You think you're going to get the blessing? My brother has supplanted me this day. He didn't supplant you. You did that yourself. But you notice how Cain and Esau, every time they got caught red-handed, now they sorrowful. Play the victim. They both did that. Same thing. Had mad hatred for their brother. They ain't going to play the victim when that judgment come on. Huh? They do it to this day. What them Edomite women do. You trying to stop a man from going to his apartment. He move you out the way. He hit me. That's what he said. Esau do it to this day. Call you all type of racial slurs and all that. You turn around and bam! Oh, police, he hit me. They do the same thing to this day.
Yeah,
right?
Precept,
Go ahead.
About them being some liars and stuff.
Go ahead. If you want.
Psalms 58 and 3.
And they get it from their, and they say, get it from your mama. They get it from their daddy. Their daddy is Cain. In the spirit. You said Psalms what?
58 and 3. 58 and 3.
The wicked, Psalms chapter 58, verse 3. The wicked are estranged from the womb. They go astray as soon as they be born, speaking lies. Powerful precept.
Right. Yeah.
Powerful. The wicked are estranged from the womb. They go astray as soon as they be born, speaking lies. Meaning what? Going back to the righteous and that wicked seed, right? The wheat and the tares. Can you make a tare wheat? Can you make wheat tares? Not at all. Cain was destined to be wicked. Abel was destined to be righteous. Same thing with Jacob and Esau. But you see what Genesis 4 show you? That much in Genesis 4. And it's just one simple story we probably read all the time. Don't think you can. That's why I don't ever close the Bible and think that you can get more, you're done with it. It can show you something else. Whole breakdown just on Genesis chapter 4. Explanation. I got a couple more. Let's read Lamentations 5 and 8. He's a fugitive. So you know what we got to do to fugitives? We got to expose them. We got to convict them. Esau's a fugitive. So let's convict him in the presence of this holy Father and his angels. We're going to convict him. He's guilty. Let's see if he's guilty of his crimes. Is he guilty of hating his brother? Is he guilty of murder? Is he guilty of rape? He's guilty of all that. Is he guilty of thievery? He guilty. Let's read Lamentations 5 and 8. Whenever you're ready. He's guilty. And ain't nobody can redeem him. So no matter how many of you Israelites, because I know it's some of y'all, Esau's not the white man. Well, you show me who the white man is. Because you better not say them Arabs, because them Arabs don't control nothing, right? They control the area of what their forefather Ishmael had. But they don't control this earth like the white man, and is not pushing the wickedness like this white man. White man is pushing wickedness on a whole nother level, and his forefather and his fruits is like his forefather Cain. Let's read that.
The book of Lamentations, chapter 5, verse 8. Servants have ruled over us. There is none that doeth deliver us out of their hand.
Esau was a servant. Now he rules over us, right? And when you could write down Deuteronomy 28 and 50, it says he shows no favor, right? Shows no favor to us, all right? Let's read Revelations 13 and 10. He's going to meet the same end that Cain met. But instead of death by flood, it's going to be death by fire. Let's read that. Revelations 13 and 10.
The book of Revelation, chapter 13, verse 10. He that leadeth into captivity shall go into captivity. Mm-hmm. He that killeth with the sword must be killed with the sword. Mm-hmm. Here is the patience and the faith of the saints.
Did he kill with a sword?
God.
Did he lead into captivity?
God.
Esau's not the white man. Then who is he? Did the white man lead into captivity? And did he lead with the sword? Yeah. So guess what? He got to be killed in the same manner. Because of his crimes. Huh? It hasn't happened yet. Nah. It's going to happen. That wicked seed has to be destroyed. Esau, the so-called white man, is leading the charge, with wickedness. He is the leader. He's the father of wickedness. Mm-hmm. Every thought of wickedness, the energy of wickedness, comes from that one man, and he spreads it throughout the earth. And if you're wicked, your spirit is going to cling to him. This is why if you love that man, you're wicked. If you love a man that is a rapist, a murderer, if you love a man that is a homosexual, you love a man in that fashion, and you want to, and when I say love him, that don't mean you got to, I love you. No, that means you just take up for him. You're wicked. How can you take up for a rapist? He was a rapist. He still is a rapist. He raped our forefathers. Because even if you don't believe that Esau is a white man, which we know he is, well, whoever this man is, he got to still pay for them crimes. And who is he then? Show me what nation he is. And then show me the prophecies that show me he's this nation. Because ain't nobody as wicked as the white man today. Nobody. You can't show me not one nation of people that is as wicked as him. He's the only man that can successfully turn my brother sitting right here into a woman. Show me another nation that created that. Show me where porn is pushed out. The hub of porn is America. The hub of wickedness is America for the world. And it all goes back to his forefather Cain. Always, the spirit is still here. He got to be wicked. And if you, and this is so deep, I want y'all to hear me when I say this. Esau, or the so-called white man, is the father of wickedness as far as just creating it, holding on to it. If your spirit clings to him, you can tell what seed line you come from Adam. That means you that tear.
You that Cain.
Because only tares can dwell with Esau. And if you sick of it, you know what seed you from. You weak. Congratulations, brothers. For real. So you see what Genesis 4 is showing you? Look at that. It's showing you, man. If you can tell what, he gave you an example of two righteous brother, wicked brother. You see that all throughout history. And if you can adhere to Esau, the white man, then you adhere to Cain. And it all goes back to Adam. having the righteous seed within him. And who knows, if we got righteous and wicked seed within him, and who knows, we got it too. Hopefully our kids grow up righteous, but you're not going to know until they grow up.
Okay.
Then they'll show you, right? Let's read, let's get one more. Let's get this last one. Exodus 21:16. Should be the last one.
Okay.
Exodus 21:16.
The book of Exodus, chapter 21, verse 16. And he that stealeth a man and selleth him, or if he be found in his hand, he shall surely be put to death.
And see, that's all wickedness. He's a fugitive. He's a vagabond. He's trying to steal culture, steal identities, trying to hide himself from that judgment. But you're not going to be able to hide yourself from that judgment because you got that mark upon you. Just like Cain wouldn't be able to hide. Same thing. So with that being said, man, if there's not any questions, we can go ahead and end class. I hope Jake's understood and learned something, man. Yep. So that's about it. Kwam Yasharala, rise to the nation of Israel. Go ahead and shalom to everybody across and around the world, man. We're going to say shalom and peace be with you, brother. Y'all can end the line. We're going to send those prayers up together. I know it's only a little bit of us, but we want to magnify the Father. The Wadi Yahweh, the Wadi Yahweh Shai. Thank you, Yahweh. Thank you, Yahweh Shai, for allowing us to gather here together. We ask that you continue to watch over us and keep us and bless us. We thank you for the edification. We ask that everyone was edified and enjoyed class. We give you all the praise and honor and glory. Forgive us of our sins. We ask that you give us the seed of Abel and not the seed of Cain. And your son, Mashiach Yahweh Shai, from the world knows in Jesus Christ's name we pray. Amen.
Amen.
Abanawa, Shabbat Shemayim, Kodash, Aya, Shemka, Yahweh, Malakutka, Taba'a, Ratizaka, Aya, Aisha, Baratiza, Kuwo, Aya, Bashemayim, Nathanawa, Lacham, Za, Yawam, Wasalak Nawa, Kabawaf Nawa, Kasalak Nawa, Kabawaf Nawa, Wala'a, Dabayan Nawa, Banasai Wan, Abo, Hawashai Nawa, Man, Ra, Kaya, Laka, Amalakwa, Wala'ala, Ramda, Ra, La'ai Lama, the Wadi Yahweh, the Wadi Yahweh. Amen.
That same prayer found in the book of Matthew. Pray ye after this manner, Our Father, who art in heaven, hallowed be thy name. Thy kingdom come, thy will be done, in earth as it is in heaven. Give us this day our daily bread, and forgive us our debts as we forgive our debtors. Lead us not into temptation, but deliver us from all evil. For thine is the kingdom, and the power, and the glory, forever. Amen.
Amen. Hey. All praises, man. All praises. Happy Jake's enjoyed it, man.
Yeah, that was beautiful, bro.
All praises, man. So hopefully we got that spirit of Abel, man.
Real talk. Yeah, that was a hell of a comparison.
See people that be having that spirit of Cain, man.
Heavy on it, too.
We already know Esau got it. It just be crazy when we look at our own.
A lot of our own people got it though, huh?
Hell yeah.
Yeah, that was a hell of a comparison right there. When you be teaching, bro, I'd be like, I had to focus on reading because I'd be like, I'm gonna have to listen to it. Go get in my bag, like, man. Hey,
you guys, make sure y'all turn off the live. We still live. Yeah. make sure y'all hit up the live, you know. Probably in the back.
Right.
Call of Duty.
Con.